and we're in the Aventine, and I've just gone out to drive somewhere, and I suppose I should wish you all a happy Christmas. As I say, it's Boxing Day, and it's a lovely day, because yesterday, Christmas Day yesterday, was awful. I mean, the weather was cold, damp, very damp here in England, overcast. It was awful. But today, Boxing Day, the day that people traditionally go out, cycle and everything, it's turned out lovely. But I've gone for a drive somewhere, which I'll tell you about in just a second. Right, so we're just driving down this little country lane here. A squirrel there. And coming up to a place that we've come to many times over the last decade, really. And it's Benix Motors. And it's Boxing Day, and no one will be working there. I decided just to come up here and park outside, because I thought it was the right thing to do to talk about what I'm going to talk about. Actually, there's a car here. And it's looks like Nick. Right, let's just turn this off. Right, so what I was going to talk about here outside Benix was the fact that it's been a little secret that I've secret, I guess it's something I've known about for a little while, but I couldn't say anything about it, but now this has arrived in the post. Actually, I'll just put it here. You can freeze frame this, probably read it. Benix are closing down. They're retiring. So this is really sad news, and I thought it would be just interesting, the right thing to do really, to talk about it just outside their place. But it looks like Nick is here. Well, his car is here, but there's not a lot going on here. Most of the cars here are actually Benix cars, the vehicles that belong to them or Nick. Had a bit of a clear out here. I think I won't disturb them on Boxing Day, but anyway. So that's the bad news for the coming year. It looks like there's a couple of months that Benix will be running, and we'll be going up there and filming the escapades I suspect that will be going on in the next few months. But it's a sad day for a number of people. Yes, the first car that I ever took to Benix was back in around 2004 maybe, or a bit before that, when I had a Hudson Hornet that was in a dire condition, and one of the customers of mine from the boarding kennel that I ran then suggested I speak to Benix Motors, and I actually rang up and spoke to Ben and asked him if he could handle an old American car, and good old Ben said, yeah, well, you know, anything. It was kind of like anything on 4 wheels or even 3 he could handle. So they took the Hudson Hornet in, and eventually they made a really nice car out of it. And that was the beginning of a long and enjoyable, I would say, relationship I had with Benix Motors and all the people working there. And yes, I'm very sad that it's coming to an end. So, meanwhile, back at home, got the 2CV here. Now, what I've done here is I fitted these 2 window clips, or locks, and they work really well. They look nice. There's the other one there. and yeah, the old ones were black. These are stainless steel, and they work well. I mean, they're very tight, but the window still whistles. This window particularly, and I think if we look at it very carefully, you can see here that the obviously this glass here is straight, and it locks really tight with that holding it tight. But it's the distance between this edge here and the rubber obviously is greater at this end. So there is actually, look, this is, you can sort of get your finger almost underneath that there. Whereas this end is very tight. So of course I'm guessing that the wind is blowing in slightly on this edge, which is causing this whistling noise. So what have I done? I've got some various draft excluders here, and these are called deep profile self-adhesive, and they're hollow and they're collapsible. And my plan is that I'm going to put this around this edge here, so that when the window closes, that gap will be filled with that excluder. So we'll try that later and see if that works. So now I'm sort of crammed in here, and the wind's blowing really bad. It's probably coming out in this video, and this is a toilet. And the toilet's here because I've got guys working here on this project that we're doing, which is to convert the old building kennel into houses and flats. So parked right next to the toilet here is the Daimler. It's actually, this lot here is scrap metal, all under here. Well, no, that's bags of sort of cement, but this is some scrap metal that's going to go to the scrap metal place. And this is some, well, it's not scrap metal, I guess. No, I'm just joking. This is the Daimler, which been the subject of my woes this Christmas. And my intention now is to sell it on eBay. I'm going to put it on eBay and really give it to somebody who makes me a reasonable offer for it. I've been upfront about it. I will supply the appraisal that I've had done on it, and anyone can look at it and turn it into a nice car. It certainly sounds a nice car, and it looks nice, and it should be a nice car, really. It just needs somebody who is able to work on it. I'm not really prepared now to take on projects like this, and funny enough, when I was talking about Benix and the project they did with my Hudson, that was that was a car that was in a much worse state than this Daimler, and they turned it into a beautiful car, but I just don't want to get into that now anymore. I've done enough cars like that. I mean, I've got cars like this Jag here, which are in excellent condition, and I just want to really spend some time trying to improve it or keep it clean and look after it. And also my Dodge, where we've been doing some upgrading, fitting the new rubbers on the back window here, and fitting this glove box. And we got the radio fixed as well. Actually, the only problem with this was it wouldn't start the other day. Give it a go and see if it starts now. Well, that's good, isn't it? Now that wouldn't start the other day, but I think it was flooded actually. I'd flooded it. But the glove compartment, whoops. The glove box, that's lovely. I mean, I'm really pleased with that. First time this car's had a glove box in all the sort of 14 years or whatever it is I've owned it. That's really nice. Well, the Dodge started without choke. It's running lovely. Well, the plan for the Dodge in the next few weeks is that we're going to give it a bit of a proper service. We're going to flush out the cooling system, the radiator and everything. We're going to obviously change the oil, filters. We're going to grease all the grease points and lubricate all the hinges and everything. And, you know, give it a really good going over. Sounds a bit rough at the moment. Certainly not firing on all cylinders. I don't know what. Oh, I know what that was. The choke was out. Yeah, I mean the choke really works on this car. That's better. I push the choke in and it's smoothed up a bit now. That's lovely. It sounds okay. Okay, so the next project. Well, certainly not a lot to do on the Amy. That's been sitting here. I'm reluctant to drive it around at the moment in this wet and horrible weather because this car is in such nice condition, and I just want to keep it in this state during these few winter months when the weather's really bad, and my little 2CV as well. So they're just really just sitting around waiting for the spring. Well, the Aventine has been driven about. It's just a lovely car to drive, but I'm going to have to clean this. And my Mercedes, which I'm really pleased about, because I've had the carpets cleaned and they are just so nice now. I can't believe that all the years of use that this car had and the stains that, well, they weren't too bad, but the stains that had appeared in this back of this car, they've all gone really. It's wonderful. It's hard to believe this car's done about 105,000 miles. Most of them I did actually, but I've had dogs in the back of this car and everything, and it's just lovely. Drives beautiful, this car, absolutely. Now, of course, the problem is I'm loath to get it wet. I'm loath to drive it too much. So it's just sitting here, having a rest this winter, and we'll get it out in the spring. Which is a real workhorse in this weather, as you can see. Look at this mud. And this is the problem living in the country, in the countryside. The roads are just so muddy. So it's Christmas time, and we've got another year to look forward to, and it'll be an interesting year. We've got Bennex closing down, the Daimler to get rid of, and all these other cars to sort out. Plus, lots of other classics I hope will come my way to film and talk about. So we'll see. Anyway, let's hope 2018 is a good year for everyone.